Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. So I'm so sorry we're a couple minutes late. Sarah is a talkaholic here today.
Can't help it.
Can't get her to quit talking.
Such good stories.
I tell you, once you get her started,
Doesn't stop.
It's just all over.
I save it up, right?
So we have this awesome topic. I know a lot of you guys watching the recording are going to be so super excited to hear about this. I've never actually had or heard of a doctor going live to talk about Lyme's disease.
They should. That's pretty common nowadays.
It is, and it's scary, I have to say, right? Because we're always looking like people with dogs. I totally forgot. I was like telling you earlier today that I got bit by a tick twice one time camping. We were, and stuff. But you told me earlier today that it doesn't just take a tick to get Lyme's disease.
It could be any biting insect, but primarily ticks and mosquitoes. But some spiders can do it too. Fleas, mites.
Wow. And those are like things I'm around all the time. I mean
mosquitoes.
Like nobody likes mosquitoes, right? But it's crazy how much they carry, and we don't worry so much. It feels like we don't worry about mosquitoes as much as we do a tick.
Yeah, we don't live someplace where there's malaria, so it just itches, right? And that's
it's a nuisance, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just don't want to feel that.
Yeah.
Or have to deal with that.
They can transmit the Lyme disease,
So watch out for mosquitoes.
Don't go outside, right?
Oh my goodness. All right, so let's dive into this because I don't know a lot about Lyme's disease other than, I think now everybody knows somebody who has Lyme's disease, had Lyme's disease, or is talking about this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think it has its own ribbon now.
Yeah, this is such a common thing.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, my girlfriend's dad had Lyme's, and it was like this unheard of weird thing, and it was like so taboo.
Yeah.
That, like, what was that? And it was like, I'd never have to worry about that.
Because it's really rare.
Right. Mm-hmm. And now
it's not.
It's not at all. So, like, what is it?
So it is, I believe it was 1970-ish, around then. They actually had like 50 cases of this mysterious illness that happened in Lyme, Connecticut. And that's how it became Lyme disease, because they had this new disease pop up, where in reality, majority of the time it's a parasite, basically a microbe that is transmitted from a biting insect to humans. And usually it's a microbe called Borrelia. That's the common one, but there definitely can be co-infections that go along, which is why Lyme's today can be such a problem, because it's usually not as simple as just one critter. And there could be multiple. But Borrelia in ticks is kind of like our normal flora, where they kind of benefit each other. They don't cause any problems to one another, and so it's just like natural. And so ticks, actually, when they bite you, they numb your skin so you don't know you got bit, and then they actually have something in their saliva that will stop your initial immune response to it, so it gives the chance for the Borrelia to invade.
Wow.
Yeah. And Borrelia is a little spirochete, which is basically like a corkscrew.
Did you ever have one of these?
I've had ticks before.
How did you get it out?
I just picked it off, but...
Because you're saying this little thing, and my husband had one time in the back of his leg, and it's so crazy because he didn't find it till the day after he got it, which is so funny that you're saying, he was numb.
Yeah.
And then he asked me if I would be grossed out to take this out. And I had two on my head. And I caught them as soon as they came on. So it was super easy, not a big deal. His had been there an entire day. So I just thought, these things are little, right? So how hard could this little thing be?
They're in there.
It's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
And then usually the ones that people are bit with are little, and they call it like the nymph stage, which is, I think, like the head of a pin is the size of these ticks. So most people have no idea they were even bitten because they're so tiny. And a lot of these guys that actually have Borrelia, they like half feed, so they don't actually get really engorged. And so they like bite, and then they fall off on their own without you even having to pick them off.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have no idea they were bitten, and it could be mosquitoes. I mean, you know?
Wow.
And so, who knows how many people actually could have been infected.
So what are like symptoms then? So what would I be looking for if I knew I got bit, or even if I didn't? Because we have a lot of patients come in here who are diagnosed with Lyme's disease,
Mm-hmm.
and their symptoms are so different.
Yeah, this is where it depends. There's the difference between acute or early symptoms and then chronic. And that early one is either you're lucky and you have that bullseye rash, which doesn't necessarily mean you have this infection per se, but that's kind of like the most well known. Like, if you have the bullseye rash, go get it checked because you could have Lyme's disease. But the main symptoms are the very vague flu-like chills, low-grade fever. Like, it could be a cold, it could be the flu, it could be you slept wrong. Like,
I was just gonna say
no one's
any
gonna
cold
know.
could just be from that.
And this is why a lot of people don't actually get the rash. And so they think, oh, they're coming down with something or whatever it was, maybe even ate something bad. And then it goes away. And then this is where months down the line they start developing other symptoms, which I did post a picture of. It could be anything at all because these guys they feed off like collagen is their main food, but they really need your body to break down tissues and organs to release nutrients, and that's how they eat. And so your symptoms depend on like where these guys are trying to like break down things to get food. So you can have joint pain, it can mimic arthritis, you can have nerve symptoms, numbness, burning, brain fog, cognitive functions could decrease, you can have heart pain, heart palpitations, like who knows, it could be anything really. And this is why I think it's become a big deal, because people usually don't catch it until they've been on all these things to like, you know, you're on something for pain, you're on something for this, you're on blah blah blah, before they're finally like, okay, you are diagnosed with Lyme's. But by that point it's a year down the road and you are miserable.
So why do you think today there's so many more cases? Like, do you think we just didn't know what it was, like years ago? Like, why are we so more prevalent to getting this?
It's actually been around for as long as humans have been around, and that Iceman that they found in the Alps actually had it.
Really?
His symptoms in his body, they found it. And they did find he had some arthritis, so that could have been how he was experiencing it. But I believe why it's so apparent now is just our immune systems can't handle it. And we already kind of, once you're bit, at least with ticks, you momentarily have that lapse of like immune response. So it just allows these little spiral guys to get in, and then a perfectly normal, healthy immune system gets rid of it right away, which is why up until probably the 1970s that it wasn't that well known, because most people were relatively healthy. They ate real food before then. And then now, like, so many people just were sick in general and try to make it then do something else, like fight. They can't do it. And these guys are kind of called stealth microbes because they're stealthy. And this is why it's so hard to kill or diagnose, because they are stealthy, and that their purpose is not to make you sick, really, because they want to live long enough till something else bites you to be transferred into that guy so that it can then complete its life cycle. And so that's its whole purpose, is just, it wants you mobile, it wants you doing normal life so you could get bit again. And so it doesn't want to make you sick, and why it's usually you just feel miserable when things stop working, rather than like Ebola or HIV or something else that's, I mean,
A symptom
their purpose isn't to, to just live.
Man, I didn't like these things in the first place. Now I think I like them even less.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. So how about, most people get treated for Lyme's with antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that that's a helpful tool for Lyme's disease?
I mean, yeah, it can be. I could see how maybe the initial bite, it could potentially be beneficial. And sometimes when it's chronic, it could. The problem is with Lyme's is they are stealthy, at least Borrelia, and that it evades things. So I've had patients that have had antibiotics, and maybe it's helped, maybe it hasn't, but usually things come back. And that these guys actually burrow into organs. They can change shape, they can become cysts, they can actually get into your white blood cells, and so they'll just hide out somewhere, usually until the antibiotic round is done, or whatever is done. And so most antibiotics, at least with what I see in my patients, they still have the Lyme disease even after rounds of antibiotics. That sometimes we've had people that come in with that bullseye rash, they go out, get the antibiotics, they tested positive, and then they don't, and they've been good. So that's where it's kind of like, I wouldn't just depend on antibiotics.
So then what would you do?
Well, the immune system would be the main thing. Like, there's a reason why you can't fight this off, and since these guys are so stealthy, most times things like antibiotics, medicines are designed to target that thing. But if that medicine can't find that thing, then you aren't going to beat it. So the only thing that you have left is your body, which is designed to go through organs and cells and kind of sift through things and figure out what should be there and what shouldn't be. And so you'd have to look at like all of them: thymus, spleen, even bone marrow, liver, all of those guys, to make sure that they're actually strong, because most of them aren't. And then what do they need to get better? Which for Lyme's, we usually find any kind of chronic illness, slower is better when healing. Because if you try to force your body to do anything, you will feel awful.
Okay, so I know there's a few of you guys on here. If you guys have any questions, we're only going to stay on for a little bit longer on this. I think, so then, like, I think what you were saying, like what I'm hearing you say to me is, I personally have probably been bit by something that was carrying Lyme's. And thankfully, I feel like, well, it's so hard because this is such a hard topic, right? The reason this is so hard is because I'm just going to come out with it, because I do have people and that will call and say, can you treat Lyme's disease? So we cannot. What we can do is help people who have symptoms of Lyme's disease.
Feel better.
By what? Increasing their immunity.
Yeah, increasing their drainage, so what your body's managed to kill, making sure it can actually get it out of your body. Making sure like the nerve communication is actually working. Because if your body can't communicate where stuff needs to be fixed, it doesn't really matter what you do because you can't fix it anyways. Then we actually look at, like we said, the exact immune organs to make sure they're in tip-top shape. Of course, in any kind of chronic infection, diet gets involved, because you're either feeding it or you're not. And if you choose to feed it, then you're just going to be sick for a whole lot longer. And then we'll look at like spine, make sure everything's in line, because that just, if things aren't in line, it slows down communication, can slow down blood flow, and that will all kind of just hinder how fast you can get better.
And it's always different, I'm noticing, because I mean, I do know some of the patients that come in here that, you know, do have Lyme's disease. They're not on the same protocol.
No, and this is where it depends on where that infection or co-infections are affecting that body, because they all will affect somewhere different. It's kind of wherever that little guy tells your body. What it kind of does is it takes over parts of your immune system and makes it send inflammation to certain areas, because that is how your body breaks things down. So someone could be having inflammation sent to joints, so their support may primarily be joint related. Or we could have another person where it kind of leads more into the co-infections, where if your system is already down, it just invites other guys to come in. So a lot of other people can come in claiming with candida or molds or anything else, and that is the priority for that body, is to kind of flush out that before then fixing the original kind of culprit. This all depends. It's a big puzzle just to figure out, like, what does this body need and in what order.
I think that one of the things I like most about how you guys do your treatments is not only is everything so personalized, but it's like you guys have so many different techniques to help different things. And so, like, I can come in one time for the same thing. Let's say, you know, let's say I have lower back ache, you know, lower back pain. And I come in and you'll do something one time, but then the next time I come in, if I still have that same pain a month later, you do something else. It's like there are so many different techniques to do, to support my body.
Yeah, because you're different day to day. I mean, you're different from second to second as to what is the most important thing for your body to fix to live. Like, that's all your body's concerned about, is what's the thing that needs to be fixed to have the greatest chance of survival. And that's how we handle it, because if you fix that, the body has more time to fix everything else a lot quicker than us trying to go in and be like, no, you have this, we need to handle it specifically for this. Before you know it, you're on 20 supplements and you come here 3 days a week and all these other things. And maybe you'll feel better eventually, but it'll be a whole lot more expensive, time-consuming, and frustrating for everyone involved.
I think it's cool too, because you don't fit in, like, you guys don't place us in a box. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of times I've been to different doctors and you go in with, you know, anxiety or, you know, whatever, a thyroid problem, and if your numbers don't fit in their box, or if, you know, whatever it is you're experiencing, like, they say, okay, well, you fit into this category, so we're going to treat you A, B, C, and D like we treated the last person who fit into that category. And even for here, you don't even treat me the same way every time I come.
That's why we have visits.
It's like amazing.
You come frequently, or else we'd be like, here's your protocol. Come back in 3 months and let us know how we did.
I bring, you know, my whole family comes here to you guys. And my little man, my 10-year-old, when he comes, it's the funniest thing, because he said, I'll never forget, like, in a car the one time, he asked me, you know, what do you think she's going to do to me today? And I said, oh, I have no idea, right? And then, you know, a couple of visits later, and he's like, wow, wonder what she's going to do today. And it really wasn't a question. He was just, like, excited, because it is so different.
Yeah.
So if you guys have not been here, I know we talk a lot about the different treatments and things that they do. And really, I feel like there's no really clear way to explain to you guys, especially not over social media, how their treatments work and how they help your body do certain things, you know. I mean, the other day I came in and I had a bunch of congestion, and Dr. Collin, and I was just sitting in my chair, and Dr. Collin just came over, picked like this spot like right here, and started like maneuvering this spot to open up my lymph.
Right, it's a neurolymphatic point. It helps drain out gunk.
Yeah, and so it's like I would have had no clue, you know, that you guys could do. I mean, it's just the craziest things. And so I love that what you guys do. You're so about education that while I'm here with one of the doctors, the other doctor that I'm not with is actually out in our foyer right now every single Wednesday teaching this class. It's this awesome informative class, like what they do, how they do it, scientifically why it works, and they do demonstrations, which I mean, there's no way you could believe this without seeing it.
They're pretty cool.
And I mean, there was a time too when you didn't see this stuff, right? I mean, the first time you saw somebody do this, were you not like just blown away? Just
it was pretty cool. I grew up kind of to a hippie mom, so I was more open to it than other people, and I was introduced to this kind of stuff relatively young, so it wasn't abnormal. It was just like cool.
We're doing that today.
I want to learn that.
Okay, well,
kind of more mom mentality.
Well, whether you had the hippie mom, didn't have the hippie mom, and grew up with Western medicine, the class is always free.
Yes.
So next week you'll be teaching this class, which is super cool because in the class, both of them, like, they'll share their testimony and why they became doctors, how this helped them, which I'm always so curious about because both of you guys are so passionate about helping others that I think it's like such a nice core thing to find out why. Like, what happened to you guys that made you so passionate to want to help other people, you know?
How messed up were we?
And so I just want to let everyone know who's watching us, if you guys are interested in coming to that class, you just have to call me, 724-205-6260, so I can reserve you a seat because the foyer's a little small.
Yeah, we can fit, what, 9?
9 to 12.
It'll be tight squeeze.
9 comfortably.
Yes.
So you guys can reserve a seat either calling me at that number, or you could just visit our website. It's ihwcenter.com. And classes is right there. You can fill out forms. And if you just cannot wait to learn more about our doctors, you guys on the website have awesome biographies that tell a little bit more about how they got to be here. So check that out. We also have a bunch of YouTube videos for you in case you missed any of these awesome lives.
They're all there.
They're all there. And there's extras. There's like food extras because she is just a phenomenal cook that gets to, like, she shares her recipes with us. So, and they're super easy. Like, even I can do them and they taste so good.
Thanks.
So, yeah, check those out. I hope you guys have a great week and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.